Hello and what is up, YouTube fans, subscribers? For those of you just joining me for the first time in PHS land, hello, welcome. I am Mr. Fabianski, and this is Environmental Science, and we are currently in our second PowerPoint of the unit, and today we will be concentrating on slides 11 through 15. So please make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe bell, and all those other cool things that YouTube people do when they're on YouTube trying to get subscribers. Because you know what? I need 1 million subscribers to get to that golden buckle or button or something along those lines. As you can tell, I'm not really good at the whole YouTube thing. I'm hoping to get better as we go along, but I'm trying, and that's what matters. So let's get started. We have 5 slides to go through with this one. It's a short one, so let's get on getting on. All right. So here's where we're starting today: soil degradation and conservation. Okay, soil degradation and conservation. Some estimates predict that 50 million people could be displaced in the next 10 years due to desertification from soil degradation. So now we know what desertification is. We talked about that. It is overusing soil, overusing it, meaning taking out the nutrients, taking out the minerals. And when you do that, it becomes so dried out, so non-usable, so infertile that it essentially turns to a desert. So that's what desertification is. And you can see we have a dust storm there in Texas in 1935. And I will actually link up a video to a Habib. And what a Habib is it's a dust storm. I believe that's the correct name. You'll forgive me if I mispronounced it or if I completely said it wrong. But I will link up a dust storm video at the end of this video. All right, so erosion. What's the deal with erosion? Well, it's a process by which material, such as topsoil, is moved from one place to another. And there are 2 main ways that it is moved. It is either moved by the wind or by water currents, wind currents or water currents. It's caused by a natural process and human activities, meaning it's when the soil dries out. It is when we use too much of the nutrients, when we cut down all the trees and take all those roots out. Because remember, those roots hold in that soil. All right, they lock it in place. So if we take all those trees out, if we take all the grass out, if we take all of our plants out, we are going to lose that foothold. It's another word, that foothold that locks all that soil in place. Okay, guys, pay attention. I'm talking to you. All right. It often occurs faster than soil is formed, depleting the fertile topsoil, meaning that we essentially use it quicker than it's being replaced. So we're using it at too quick of a rate. It doesn't have time to catch up, the soil. And then finally, crops, trees, and other plant communities protect the soil from erosion. And we just talked about that. They protect it by locking it in place. All right, so more than 19 billion hectares or 47 billion acres, that's just another way to measure land, of the world's croplands suffer from erosion and other forms of soil degradation resulting from human activities. Farming practices that reduce erosion. So there are ways that we could stop erosion. We could slow the loss of soil. We can do it together. So how can we do it? Let's take a look. Intercropping, crop rotation, shelter belts, conservation tillage, terracing, and contour farming. So what are these things? Well, intercropping just means you're planting different crops together. So you're getting slightly away from the monoculture and you're planting different crops that actually complement one another. For example, potatoes and tomatoes. So the potatoes will lock in the soil below and they will actually give nutrients to the tomato roots as they're growing. So they work together. It's like a tag team, right? They're working as a pair, working together, kind of like you're working together with me to get this material learned, okay? Intercropping. Crop rotation, that means you plant tomatoes in your garden on year 1, and then year 2, you're gonna plant corn. Because you know what? The corn is gonna use different nutrients than the tomatoes used last year. You don't wanna plant tomatoes again because there won't be any of those vital tomato nutrients left over. You wanna plant something different. So what this does is it allows for the soil to kind of catch up, to rebuild. It's like when you're working out, right? it's a shoulder day today, right? Well, the next day you go into the gym, you don't want to do shoulders again. You want to let those recover. So now you're going to do legs. And then the next day you're going to do arms. That's like crop rotation, okay? You're using the crop from one year, and then you're going to give it a break. You're going to let it like rebound. Then you're going to use the crop another year. You're going to give it a break. You're going to let it rebound. Okay, you're not constantly digging in to those same nutrients year after year and not giving them time to grow back. Shelter belts, those are tall plants that block wind. So what you would do is you would have a field full of peppers. And then on the outside, you plant a row of corn. And that corn is meant to kind of protect the peppers. So you'll get corn, you'll get peppers, but the tall corn protects the peppers from the dangerous winds that could do damage to them. That's what shelter belts are. It also stops the wind from picking up the soil and eroding it, okay? Conservation tillage means soil turnover is reduced, meaning you don't constantly dig up that soil and flip it over. You're not constantly mixing it. You want to kind of go the least amount of mixing as possible. Terracing, that's farming on steep slopes, okay? And we turn them into steps. Basically, you're using land that wouldn't have been readily available, and you kind of cut out on this land. Okay, let me show you actually a little bit. I'm going to jump to this, and you guys remember this from our last video. Let's get rid of these crops. We talked about selective crop rotation. So normally you would have a farm, you would have a mountain, right? Well, what contour farming is, or terrace farming is people would actually go up and then they would cut in. And then they would go up and then they would cut in. Go up and then cut in. And now they're going to start farming on these areas. So you're making use of this area that wasn't farmable at one time. So your mountains actually end up looking like this. And we can see there's certain areas where you can now farm on flat land. It's a pretty cool idea. And then the final one we have is contour farming. So that's basically what the picture is showing us right up there. We see that they're farming around these hills. They're farming to match the contour of the land. All right, guys, we're almost there. 2 more slides, and then we are done with this video. Then you can go play like Fortnite. Actually, no, don't play Fortnite. Make sure you get your work done. Then later, you can play Fortnite or whatever other games you guys play. But make sure you get your work done first. All right, so ranching practices, we've talked about agricultural. Let's talk about ranching. Very quickly, ranching is the raising or grazing of livestock. You know that, cow or cattle, beef, chicken, pork. All right, overgrazing causes, may worsen many soil problems, meaning the cow is doing what it is shown it's doing right here. It's eating grass, and it's eating too much grass. The grass doesn't have a chance to grow back up. So what actually happens is those roots are plucked from the soil can't hold together any longer, and you get erosion again. Ranch managers encourage grazing limits to enforce them on publicly owned land. So, tragedy of the commons. We don't want to graze all of our cattle on one land, because what they'll do is actually eat too much of the grass, and you'll get desertification. You'll get that area turning into a very dry and dusty area. And the reason being because those cows are just eating all of this grass. All right, guys. So we want to limit overgrazing. Overgrazing and overfarming will lead to desertification. And this is the last slide of the day. Desertification is the loss of more than 10% of soil productivity. The causes are due to soil compaction, erosion, overgrazing, drought, lack of rain, and other factors. Arid, very dry or semi-arid lands are most prone. They're most at risk of having desertification. It affects a large amount of Earth's land areas. Up to 1/3 of Earth's land area is prone or subject to desertification. And we all know about the Dust Bowl in the 1930s and what happened there. All right. And we see in the United States, the driest area in the Midwest, right, is most prone to desertification. So guys, I'm going to link up some videos in just a minute. They will be here, and there might just be one showing you that dust storm. So have a great day. I will see you guys all in the next video. Make sure you look at these notes. Make sure you get everything done. Make sure you're working on all of your material. Have a great day. Mr. Fabianski saying good day, good evening, good night, PHS. Bye-bye.